By 2030, 70,000 satellites will be orbiting the Earth. Right now, we can barely handle 24,000. Satellites are dodging collisions 10 times per month just to survive. One major collision could trigger a cascade that traps humanity on Earth for centuries. It's called the Kessler Syndrome, and we're running out of time to stop it. In just 6 months, SpaceX's Starlink satellites performed 145,000 collision avoidance maneuvers. That's 8 dodges every single hour, and they're designed to handle it. In November, Chinese spacecraft was hit by debris too small to track, forcing mission control to strand astronauts in orbit with no escape vehicle for days. This isn't theoretical anymore. The minefield is already here, and it's getting deadlier every day. Let's talk about what actually happened up there. Space debris. It sounds almost harmless, doesn't it? Like cosmic litter. But the reality is far more terrifying. In low Earth orbit, that's the region from about 100 to 1,200 miles above Earth's surface, objects are moving at approximately 17,000 miles per hour. At that speed, even a paint fleck becomes a bullet. A bolt or a screw becomes a grenade. And anything bigger than that, well, it can punch straight through metal. The debris that likely struck Shenzhou 20 was described as small, but small is a relative term in space. A piece of debris just half an inch across, traveling at orbital velocity, carries the kinetic energy of a bowling ball dropped from a skyscraper. It doesn't just dent metal, it punches holes, creates shrapnel, and can catastrophically fail critical systems. And here's the thing that should keep you up at night. We know where the big debris is. We track it. The U.S. Space Command maintains a catalog of space objects, satellites, rocket stages, large fragments. If something is bigger than about 4 inches, we can see it coming and maneuver out of the way. But the small stuff, the stuff that hit Shenzhou 20, there are millions of pieces up there that we can't track. Fragments from old satellite explosions, paint chips, frozen coolant droplets, pieces of destroyed spacecraft. An invisible cloud of high-velocity shrapnel circling the planet. The Chinese astronauts were lucky. The damage was manageable, but it raises an uncomfortable question. If this happened to them, what about everyone else up there? Because here's what most people don't realize. There's a lot of everyone else up there now. And the problem is getting worse at an exponential rate. In 2019, just 6 years ago, there were approximately 13,700 objects in low Earth orbit. That includes active satellites, dead satellites, rocket stages, and trackable debris. Today, in 2025, that number has jumped to over 24,000 objects. That's a 76% increase in just 6 years. But it gets worse. By the end of this decade, we're talking about 2030, just 5 years from now, industry predictions suggest there could be 70,000 satellites in low Earth orbit alone. 70,000. That's more than a 5-fold increase compared to 2019. Now, a team of researchers from MIT recently published a study looking at what this explosive growth means for satellite operations. What they found should concern anyone who depends on GPS, weather forecasts, satellite internet, or literally any technology that relies on space infrastructure. The researchers looked at how often satellites have to perform collision avoidance maneuvers. You know, those little thruster burns that move a satellite out of the way when something is about to pass too close. In 2019, only 0.2% of satellites were forced to dodge collisions more than 10 times per month. By early 2025, that percentage had risen 7-fold to 1.4%. Now, 1.4% might not sound like much, but we're talking about 340 satellites that are spending a significant portion of their operational time just trying not to die. And 10 maneuvers per month? That's the threshold where operations become genuinely difficult, where operators are spending more time and fuel on survival than on their actual mission. Let me put this into perspective with a specific example. SpaceX operates the Starlink constellation, currently the world's largest satellite network, with thousands of satellites providing internet coverage across the globe. According to reports filed with the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, Starlink satellites performed 145,000 collision avoidance maneuvers in just the 6 months prior to July 2025. 145,000 dodges in 6 months. That works out to roughly 4 maneuvers per satellite per month. And SpaceX has built their system to handle this autonomously. Their satellites detect potential collisions and move themselves without human intervention. But here's the uncomfortable truth. SpaceX can handle this because they've designed for it. They knew they were putting thousands of satellites up there, so they built an autonomous collision avoidance from day one. Not everyone has that capability. Not everyone has that budget. And not every mission can tolerate constant maneuvering. Earth observation satellites, for example, need to maintain very precise orbits to photograph the same spots on Earth at the same times each day. Every maneuver disrupts that carefully planned trajectory. Weather satellites, communication satellites, scientific instruments, they all have mission requirements that are complicated by constant dodging. And we haven't even talked about the most dangerous parts yet. The MIT study found something particularly alarming. Space isn't getting crowded uniformly. There are specific altitude bands, specific zones in orbit that are already at or beyond safe operational capacity. 2 regions are especially problematic. The first is between 250 and 370 miles up, or 400 to 600 kilometers, if you prefer metric. This zone is packed with active satellites, communication satellites, Earth observational birds, small satellite constellations. It's prime real estate because it's high enough to avoid significant atmospheric drag, but low enough to be relatively easy and cheap to reach. The second problematic zone is between 435 and 500 miles, 700 to 800 kilometers. This region is particularly nasty because it's filled with debris, old satellite fragments, pieces from past collisions, and remnants from one particular incident that we need to talk about. January 11, 2007, China conducted an anti-satellite weapon test. They launched a missile that deliberately destroyed one of their own weather satellites at an altitude of about 530 miles up. That single event created over 3,000 trackable pieces of debris. But the actual number of fragments, including the pieces too small to track, is estimated in the tens of thousands. Nearly 20 years later, that debris cloud is still up there, still spreading, still dangerous. And here's the dark irony. The same debris cloud that China created in 2007 may very well be responsible for what hit their astronaut spacecraft in November 2025. What goes around literally comes around in orbital mechanics. But China isn't the only guilty party here. The United States, Russia, India, they've all conducted anti-satellite tests that have created debris fields. And every time a satellite fails and breaks apart or a rocket stage explodes, we add more shrapnel to the mix. In these crowded zones, satellites are already being forced to maneuver more than 10 times per month just to survive. And remember, every maneuver uses fuel that can't be replaced. Once a satellite runs out of propellant, it can't dodge anymore. It becomes a sitting duck. Or worse, it becomes debris itself. Here's where things get truly frightening. According to the MIT researchers and other experts in the field, there's currently around a 10% chance of a major in-orbit collision happening within the next year. 10%. Those aren't lottery odds. That's a roll a 10-sided die, and if it comes up 1, satellites are about to have a very bad day. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so 2 satellites crash into each other. That's bad for those satellite operators, but how does it affect everyone else? The answer is something called the Kessler Syndrome, named after NASA scientist Donald Kessler, who first described it in 1978. Here's how it works. When two satellites collide at orbital velocity, they don't just bounce off each other, they shatter. A collision between two intact satellites creates thousands of new debris fragments. Each fragment is traveling at thousands of miles per hour. Each fragment is now a projectile. Those fragments spread out along the orbit, creating an expanding cloud of shrapnel. And now, every satellite in a similar orbit has to dodge thousands of new threats instead of just two. Which means more collision avoidance maneuvers, which means a higher chance of calculation errors, which means a higher probability of another collision, which creates more debris, which increases the chance of more collisions. You see where this is going. In the worst case scenario, we could trigger a cascade effect where collisions breed more collisions, exponentially filling entire orbital regions with debris until they become completely unusable. Not for years, not for decades, for centuries. Because debris in orbit doesn't just disappear. In low Earth orbit, atmospheric drag will eventually pull fragments down to burn up in the atmosphere. But that process takes time. A piece of debris at 300 miles altitude might deorbit in a few years, but debris at 600 miles up could last decades. At higher altitudes, debris can persist for hundreds or even thousands of years. One really bad day in orbit could effectively close off entire regions of space for multiple generations. And here's the kicker. We're already seeing early warning signs that this cascade might be beginning. The seven-fold increase in satellites performing frequent collision avoidance, the rising collision probabilities, the densely packed orbital zones. We're not in Kessler Syndrome yet, but we're getting uncomfortably close to the tipping point. So, what's the solution? The MIT study suggests that satellite operators could better use available space by avoiding already crowded orbits and coordinating their constellations so satellites move in synchronized pattern rather than crossing paths. Sounds reasonable. Sounds sensible. There's just one problem. Getting everyone to agree. Right now, SpaceX is by far the world's largest satellite operator. But they're not going to be the only game in town for much longer. China has announced plans to launch its own mega constellation. Tens of thousands of satellites to compete with Starlink. The European Union has constellation plans as well. So does Russia. So do several other nations. These aren't collaborative partners. These are competitors. In some cases, they're geopolitical adversaries. One expert interviewed about the study put it bluntly. I don't think it's likely to happen that you would get SpaceX and the Chinese to coordinate how they structure and operate their systems. And he's probably right. Why would China adjust its plans to accommodate American satellites? Why would the U.S. coordinate with Russian constellations? Why would any commercial company give up profitable orbital slots just because someone else got there first? There are international guidelines. The United Nations has recommendations for space debris mitigation. There are best practices, but there's no enforcement mechanism, no orbital traffic control, no space police who can tell a nation or a company that they can't launch into a particular orbit. It's basically a free-for-all, with everyone racing to stake their claims in the most valuable orbital real estate before someone else takes it. And in the while, the debris keeps accumulating. Let me bring this back down to Earth for a second. Most people don't think about satellites on a daily basis. They're invisible. They're up there doing their thing, and as long as our phones work and our GPS gets us where we're going, who cares, right? But here's what satellites actually do for us. GPS and navigation, that's satellites. Your phone's maps, the guidance system in your car, the navigation systems that ships and aircraft depend upon. All satellites, weather forecasting satellites, every hurricane track, every severe weather warning, every forecast you check on your phone, it all comes from weather satellites in orbit. Communications, a huge portion of internet traffic, especially in remote areas, runs through satellites. satellite phones, emergency beacons, military communications, all dependent on orbital infrastructure. Financial systems use satellites for timing synchronization. Power grids depend on them. Television broadcasts, scientific research, climate monitoring, national security and defense. Our modern world is built on the assumption that satellites will work, that we'll maintain access to orbit, that space will remain a usable resource. But we're treating orbit like we're treating every other thing in human history. We're filling it up, assuming it's infinite, assuming someone else will deal with the consequences. The Shenzhou 20 incident was a warning shot, a reminder that the debris up there isn't theoretical, it's real. It's dangerous, and it's getting worse. Right now, we're still in a place where we can manage the problem. Satellite operators are adapting. Technology is improving. Collision avoidance is becoming more sophisticated. But there is a point of no return, a threshold beyond which the debris density becomes self-sustaining, where collision cascades beyond our ability to control them. The question isn't whether we'll reach that point if we continue on our current trajectory. The question is when. And based on the numbers, the 76% increase in orbital objects, the 7-fold rise in collision avoidance frequency, the 10% annual collision probability, that when might be sooner than anyone wants to admit. November 4th, 2025, 3 astronauts couldn't come home in their own spacecraft because something, probably a fragment smaller than your fingernail, struck it at 17,000 miles per hour. They got lucky. They had another option, a backup plan. But luck runs out, and in space, there are no second chances. Above our heads right now, thousands of satellites are playing an increasingly dangerous game of orbital chess, dodging debris, avoiding each other, trying to complete their missions while the space around them gets more crowded every single day. By 2030, there could be 70,000 satellites up there. 70,000 in an environment where we're already seeing warning signs of overcrowding. We're building a minefield in orbit, and sooner or later, someone's going to step on a mine. The clock is ticking. The debris is accumulating. And the disaster building above our heads, it's not coming someday, it's already here. But that's just what I think. I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below, please. And if you like what you see here, please like and subscribe. It's free to you, and it does mean the world to us, and we honestly appreciate it. Be sure to check out the links below for other cool stuff as well. And remember, always keep an open mind, but not so open your brains fall out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.